Go ahead and give us your full
Okay.
name again.
LaFay Russell Chandler,
Okay. And your date of birth?
March 26, 1938.
Okay. And what were your parents' names?
My mother's name was Nellie Arlie Pace, and my daddy's name was William Olis Russell.
What are your siblings' names?
William Horace Russell and Jerry Maurice Russell.
And you had mentioned earlier before we cut the camera on that you have fond memories of the town,
Yes.
Saluda, downtown in Saluda, and
Yes.
stores. And you mentioned one store in particular. Do you want
John Gordon's store.
Okay, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, when it was my first memories of it was when my daddy was in service, and we walked. We didn't have a car, so we walked to town, and of course we got our mail down at the post office. So every day we went to the post office anyway. But if we had a nickel, we didn't go buy candy with it. We went to John Gordon's store and bought a nickel's worth of brown sugar, and they put it in a little brown paper bag and tied a string around it. Now, I thought that was the most unique thing in the world, but they had a lot of stuff in barrels, which you never see that anymore. I mean, it's kind of, Mass General Store kind of wants to do that, but it's not like a real store where you buy groceries and stuff. And the only doll I ever remember having in my life came from John Gordon's store.
Why did you want the brown sugar? Did you eat? I mean,
Oh gosh, yes, you put a little butter on a biscuit and put some brown sugar in it. That's good stuff.
Boy.
Yes.
What stands out besides the trip to the store? What stands
Well, when we got in high school and was playing basketball, we didn't have a bus to take us to ball games. And we would ask somebody to take a car to the ball game, and they got $5 to buy gas to take us to the ball game. And it had to be a car big enough to take 5 players besides the driver. And I had two cousins, Roy Morgan and Glenn Morgan. I'd go ask them every time, and they'd always take a car to the ball game if they could take girls. And that's all they ever wanted to take was the girls. But we stopped. If we played down the road, we always stopped at a little place down in the valley that was called the Willows. And that was they had a good jukebox and all, and we had hamburgers and stuff. It was really nice. And we always met before the games down at the drugstore here in Saluda.
Which drugstore was that?
It was Crawford's, I guess you'd call it. Is that?
Saluda Pharmacy?
Yeah, but Mr. Crawford was the first one I remember, being there.
Because there was a grill before, a grill or a soda fountain before Ward's.
Yes, oh yes,
Okay.
oh yes. But that's where we always met before the ball games, and that's where everybody that walked to school met in the afternoons after school. And we'd sit down there, and we always had cherry cokes and played the jukebox. It was fun. Everett Hardin was the soda jerk at first, and then Frank Middleton, and Frank died not too long ago. And but
Ashley,
I don't remember Joe Ashley being a soda.
him and Bill Summit were soda jerks.
Well, I don't remember them being, but I do remember Everett Hardin, and of course Frank was down there. Seemed like forever, but it was just. They was just, and we didn't have, Frank was in our grade, Frank was the first person that had got a car. And it was, I don't know what year it was, but it was a Ford. And he thought that thing was a stuff boy. And he would take us to the movies if we would wash his car before and after the movie. I mean, you didn't.
You had to wash it before and after?
Yes, oh yes. Frank was very particular. Of course, he had to clean his car in Saluda too. But if it snowed and we were out of school, we'd gather up at my house or Ruby Brown's house, and there'd be a whole bunch of us, and we would play games, work puzzles, or we'd walk all over Saluda. I bet you we walked 1,000 miles across Holly Hill and back. I mean, it was just something to do, you know, a whole bunch of us. And if it was a good snow, we'd take pieces of cardboard and sled down Holly Hill. On Friday night, we had a square dance down at the pavilion. That was Friday night. Saturday night, we went to the gym. That was the highlight of the whole thing. I mean, all summer long, you just couldn't wait for Friday night and Saturday night to go square dances. And you didn't plan nothing else them 2 nights. I mean, it was that much fun. I loved it. Still love square dancing.
Tell me about the music. What kind of music did they play?
No, not partly, but I don't know what kind you call the
Dance music.
Yes, that's what I call it, down yonder and under the double eagle and
Traditional style music?
yeah.
And do you remember any of the names of the bands? Or who played in the bands?
Why no? We didn't
Just
care.
know you like to dance.
Yes, and on Friday night we didn't have a band. We had a jukebox down at the pavilion.
Now, when you say the pavilion, where's that?
It's down where the new pavilion is built now.
Talking about at the park?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was real shabby and about to fall in. But hey,
And they had a jukebox outside?
it wasn't outside. It was inside.
Were the
This,
were
yeah,
these now
it had.
closed?
It had these boards that you could let up and hook them with a hook in the summer, but when you closed it up at night, you let them down and they locked on the inside.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
but
It's kind of like what they do, I guess, at the beach pavilions.
yeah, but anyway, it was old and run down, but it was a place to go. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds like it was a lot of fun.
It was. I loved it.
So how many people would be at these dances?
Well, down at the pavilion, there'd be anywhere from 25 to 45 people. And over at the gym, oh, there'd be a whole lot more than that because there's a whole lot more room, too. And they had a band. That made all the difference in the world, too.
Blue Sky Rangers.
I don't remember.
Bands.
Oh, my goodness, I can't remember.
So did was it just kids or was it adults?
Well, on Friday night, it was mostly kids. But Saturday night, it was no holds barred.
Everybody.
Yeah, boy. After I got married, I left Saluda for a while. Lived in Spartanburg for a while. Lived up in Leicester for a while, down next to Marshall. But nothing was like home. This was home, and I wanted to come back. And this is just where I want to be.
Do you know why?
Well,
Something special about Saluda?
oh, there's a lot special about Saluda. I grew up here, and it's changed a lot since I was in school. But my children, I wanted my children in a small town school. And they liked it. I love it. Still do. Don't want it to change. And that's just the way it is. And you know most of the people here. That's a good thing. You feel like it's one big family.